Welcome to Flute Q&A number 9 with me. I'm Jane Kavanagh. I'm a flute teacher and I teach flute players how to get faster progress through learning proper technique on the flute. That's what we're going to look at today. Some of your great questions. We've got 5 questions from Boston, Bibi, Jean, Cherie and Jen. We're going to look at some of these, some of the questions that you've asked about flute playing, and I'm going to answer them. If you want to ask a question yourself, if you're on the website, the Flute School website, top of this page, you can see up in the menu, you can ask me a question, or if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever, you can just go to www.flute.school/ask and you can ask me a question and I'll ask it in one of the upcoming Q&As. All right, here we go. The first question today comes from Boston. Firstly, I love your name, Boston. It's the best. I have a low register problem. When I practice long tones in the low register, starting soft and crescendoing to my maximum volume, the sound breaks into a gurgling, broken, split, fluttery sound. It happens mostly on E and E flat, less as I play D, D sharp, and C. So Boston, I had to have a think about this because normally when people have problems with low notes, it's not the way you described, like, what did you say? Gurgling, fluttery, split, broken. And so I had to think about the notes that you said. I'm really glad that you wrote in that it happens on E and E flat and not so much on D, C sharp, and C. Now, the reason that jumped out at me is because normally when people have problems with playing low notes, it gets harder as they play lower. But for you, it was specifically E and E flat. So this is what I'm thinking. E and E flat both have this D sharp key open. As soon as you go to D, C sharp, and C, it's closed. I'm wondering if you have what I call a spit bubble in your D sharp key. Now, a spit bubble is where you get condensation on the inside of your flute and it seals this hole when you open it, or semi-seals. And your words jumped out at me. When you said spluttery, that's exactly what happens when you get a spit bubble. It sounds spluttery because the bubble sort of bursts, or the moisture kind of gets in the way of the sound of the air. So have a look and see if you're getting like a film of moisture around there. If you are, you're in luck. I did a video, it's quite a while ago now, I think it was at least a couple of years ago. I'll put a link to it below your question here, and it's what to do about spit bubbles. It's not spit, it's condensation, but I call them spit bubbles because it sounds better. It's like, and I teach kids, you know, so a spit bubble is so much more fun to talk about than a film of condensation preventing your D sharp key from venting correctly. So I just call it a spit bubble. See if it's that, Boston. If it's not, and you're just having trouble getting your low notes on the flute, couple of things for you. You can you can do the free mini course that I've got, how to instantly improve your tone on the flute. Go to www.flute.school/free. I must make a note to put that under your question as well. It's a 3-day mini course. It instantly improves your tone on the flute. It literally instantly improves your tone on the flute because it teaches you how to fix your embouchure. It teaches you how to set your embouchure up to be able to then get a really good sound going forward. It's like the foundations of a good sound is a good embouchure. If you want more than that, think about the Flute Academy, which is opening on the 1st of October. There's a whole section, there's a whole module in there on tone. It's called the Magic Tone Exercise. It takes what you would have learned in the free course, in the mini course, and builds on it to then apply your good embouchure technique to the whole range of the flute, which includes low notes. Low notes are not down that low where you talk, so down here. So it's not beginner notes. Sometimes people think the lowest note on the flute should be the easiest note on the flute, but it's not the case. When you're down that low, you do need a very relaxed and specific embouchure to be able to get those notes with a full sound like what I just demonstrated. So that's it, Boston. I hope that helps you. The next question comes from Bibi. Now, Bibi, I have a flute student called Bibi, so I automatically love your name too. How do you get that breathy noise out of your note? You betcha. That's a very good question, Bibi, and I've got a very good answer for you. There's so many things you can do to improve your tone, but it all comes down to the fundamental concept of having the right embouchure setup. It's not only how you blow, but it's the angle of which you blow. It's the placement of this on your mouth. Now, we go through that as a start in the free mini course that I mentioned to Boston. And then we go through it further in the Flute Academy in the magic tone exercise that I teach you. Now, there's something, Bibi, that you might want to look at. I did a video a few months ago. It's about the tone exercises to avoid. Because a lot of people want to improve their tone, like you've mentioned, and then they think that they just need to play long notes, or they just need to find a tone exercise and just play it. And it is that simple if you know why you're doing the exercise. So if you know the reasons that you're doing this exercise, like, for example, not just improve your embouchure, but the tiny little tweaks, the little adjustments to make to your embouchure, if you know what you're doing and then you practice your tone exercise, it will work for you. But if you don't know the behind the scenes, you don't know why you're playing a long note and what to listen for and what to aim for and the order of which to do it, which you do high notes first, low notes first, or middle notes first. If you don't know that stuff, you can do any tone exercise and it won't work. So if you've tried a tone exercise and it hasn't worked, trust me, it's not you. There's nothing wrong with you whatsoever. It's just about the way you're practicing. So check out that video, and it's definitely going to give you some more direction about what tone exercises to do. Okay, next question comes from Jean. How can you coordinate your fingers and tongue with rapid double tonguing? So it's such good timing, Jean, that you asked this question, because the Flute Academy opens on the 1st of October, and every month we're going to have a new topic. And I've already scheduled the topics for the next few months, and the November topic is double tonguing. So you're totally in luck. So coordinating your fingers and your tonguing for double tonguing, well, firstly, you need to know the best way to double tongue, which is what we cover in November in the Flute Academy. And then I'm assuming that you're talking about coordinating fast tongued passages like this. So I'll just do an F major scale. So going up that scale, when I played that, it wasn't ta 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 ta. It was ta ka ta ka ta ka ta. You can also say da ga da ga da ga da. Taka and daga for double tonguing, it's the same thing. It's the same position in your mouth. So you use whichever one sounds less airy for you. But actually, if you're getting an airy sound when you're double tonguing, it's not because you're thinking taka, it's because of the setup of your embouchure and the setup of your tongue inside your mouth. Incidentally, inside the Flute Academy, there's a course called the 45-Day Flute Transformation. There's a whole module on that in tonguing, and we make sure that your tonguing is in the right position and you're using your air properly and your tonguing mechanism correctly to set you up for clear tonguing and fast tonguing. So that's a whole module in the 45-Day Flute Transformation, which is you get it as part of joining the Flute Academy. On top of that, Jean, it was Jean, wasn't it? Yes. On top of that, Jean, November is dedicated to learning double tonguing. So there are two parts to coordinating your tongue and your fingers for double tonguing. You need to make sure that you're tonguing correctly, which is what I just mentioned there. And you need to make sure that your fingers are even. So whatever you're practicing, whatever you're trying to learn that's double tongued, make sure you can do it slurred and evenly first. So for me, it was F major scale. If you can't do it slurred and even, there's no way it will coordinate with your tongue when you're tonguing it. No way. So you've got to make sure that you can actually play it at the right speed, the speed that you're trying to learn it at, So at that speed and even. And that's one of the steps of coordinating your fast tonguing with your fast fingers. There's actually a specific lesson. It's on this is of the 45-day flute transformation. What is it? I could look at, it's about day 41, so it's near the end. And it's specifically how to coordinate your tongue with your fingers. And what I've just mentioned then about making sure you can do it slurred and even first, that's kind of the tip of the iceberg for coordinating your tongue and your fingers. It's a really important first step, but there's more to it than that. Jean, I hope that gives you some pointing in the right direction. I think it does. Yes. So yeah, good. Anyway, good luck, Jean. Cherie asks, do you have a guide for when to use each fingering for B flat? Yes, I do have a guide. I actually did a video on this. I think it was a year or two ago. I'll put a link to that video for you below this video, and it teaches you when to use the 3 different B flats. So there's B flat like this, there's B flat like this, that little lever key, and there's B flat like this. So not like that, but like that. In a nutshell, I use this one 99% of the time. And I use this one and this one in slightly different circumstances for when the B flat is next to a B natural. So that's what I recommend. That's in a nutshell. There's a whole video on it for you, but that's what I recommend to anyone who asks. Make this one your default one. But when you've got B naturals, you don't want to be trying to slide this and control it at speed, because you just can't do that movement easily and smoothly. So that's why we use this one. Okay, and the last question comes from Jen. She said, I've learnt so much from the few times I've watched you, but where do I go from here? How do I improve on my sight reading? How do I improve on my sight reading and placement of notes? Jen, I'm so glad you've learnt so much. That's excellent. That's really excellent. That's good to hear. It means you're a good student, that you can sort of self-direct yourself to learn what you need to learn. And the fact that you're asking this question also shows me that you're a good student, because you know the right questions to ask. For sight reading, there's a great website called flutetunes.com. They have literally thousands of free legal sheet music for pieces of music for flute. The reason I say legal, I mean it's out of copyright. So it's you're not breaking any copyright rules by getting this music for free. That's why it's such an amazing website. There's a button down the side, there's a menu item down the side called Random Tune, and you can click Random Tune and it'll spit out a random tune at you. And if you practice these random tunes, maybe more to the point, if you use this random tune function, you can practice your sight reading easily. A little caveat, I don't know what your level is, Jen. It was Jen, wasn't it? Yes. I don't know what your level is, but some of the pieces that it spits out at you can be actually very difficult. So as long as you're okay going, oh, no, that one's beyond my level, next, and then just selecting it like that, you can practice your sight reading. The other thing you can do is go into Browse Tunes and then choose by category. Let's say, for example, you want flute studies to practice. You want easy flute studies to practice. Or you want Irish tunes to practice your sight reading. You can choose by category in there as well. Now, as for the second part of your question, how do you improve your placement of notes? That's such a good question, and it has got such a big answer. And the big answer is you're not alone with wanting to improve your placement of notes and just how good you sound on the flute. It's why I created the Flute Academy. It opens on the 1st of October, so not long to go now, only a couple of weeks away. And this is where I teach you, if you join, or anyone who wants to come in, faster progress through proper technique. So it's where I teach you the tweaks of proper technique, so the tiny little changes to make to your playing, the tiny little adjustments that get you huge results. So in my teaching and in the Flute Academy, I never ever say to people, oh, look, you just need to practice more. If someone can't play their high notes, I never say, oh, you just need to practice them more, because it's not true. Practice is good, of course, but if it was to use the high note example, there's a specific technique to play the high notes on the flute. It's not about, flogging yourself and practicing for hours every day to blow harder and try and get them. There's a specific technique. And for a lot of flute playing, there is a specific technique that is proper technique that makes everything easier to play and then makes you sound better. And then when you've got those little tiny tweaks of proper technique, then you know what to practice. And then you practice it and you accelerate how good you get because you're practicing the right thing. So that, honestly, Jen, that's my advice to you. Have a look at www.flute.school/academy. The stuff you'll learn in there will blow your mind. So honestly, that's my suggestion. Go and have a look at flute tunes for your sight reading and then think about improving your technique in the academy. Well, it was nice to chat to you all. Have a great week wherever you are in your part of the world, and I'll see you in the next Q&A. Bye.